All right. Happy Friday, everyone. We're really grateful to have you here today. I'm Nancy Avos. I'm the Assistant Director at SBCAN. I'm joined here with Ken Huff and Jeannie Sparks, the other co-executive directors of this organization. And we're really looking forward to hearing from our speakers. We would like to honor a hard stop time of 1:30, so we welcome you to introduce yourself, what organization you might be affiliated with, and what brought you to our roundtable today in the chat. If you could all just keep yourselves muted unless you are the scheduled speaker, that would be great. And let's allow our speakers to get through their presentations and then we can address questions from participants. If you have a timely question, please leave it in the chat. And if our speakers can answer them right away, then they will. Otherwise, they will answer the questions at the end of the presentation. Just a reminder, we should all be keeping our conversations respectful. We are open to differing views and would like to hear your thoughts. Let's just maintain a productive dialogue. And before we get into our agenda, Lee Heller has a quick announcement. So Lee, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I'm sure you are aware of what's going on with the ICE raids and people who feel afraid to go anywhere, especially the grocery store. So down here in South County, Casa de la Raza's pantry is ramping up to deliver groceries to families that request it so that don't have to put themselves at risk. And they do need donations and volunteers. And the easiest way to do that, if you look in the chat, I have dropped their Facebook page and they will be posting daily what their needs are. And you literally can just show up with whatever you can donate, stay to help or not. But that would really make a difference with helping people. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce Anthony Rodriguez, who is the Operations and Disaster Services Specialist with the Santa Barbara County Food Bank, and will be informing us of the impact of fear that ICE has created in our community at food distribution centers.
And I don't see him here.
I don't either. Okay, well, maybe we can get to the second agenda item and just wait for Anthony to pop on. So next we have Lauren and Brooke. Lauren and Brooke, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I'm an organizer with Make Polluters Pay Santa Barbara, which is a campaign to build local support here in Santa Barbara County to pass California's Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act that Brooke and I will be discussing today. I'm super excited to be here with you all and walk through this super important legislation and the action items we can be taking today as community members.
And hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Balthaser. I use she, her pronouns. I am the community organizing manager at a Ventura County-based nonprofit called CFROG, or Climate First Replacing Oil and Gas. And I'm very honored to be here today. So thank you, Lauren and Nancy, for inviting me.
And Brooke, are you comfortable sharing your screen with the presentation?
Yes.
Awesome.
Can everyone see my screen here? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
I'm gonna keep it like this. All right. I think we'll have, well, we already did introductions, so we can kind of jump right in. So here is just our short agenda for today's presentation. We've already kind of done speaker introductions, and then we'll jump right into an overview of the Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act, and then spend a little time talking about misinformation and how to respond and address this misinformation, and then chat about the statewide campaign timeline and action items to be considering and working on locally. And then opportunities, how to get involved, and then Q&A. So that's what we've got planned. And I will pass it off to Lauren.
Alrighty, so the bill that we're going to be discussing is the Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act, which is SB 684 and AB 1243. And the idea behind this bill is super simple. Fossil fuel companies are responsible for the climate crisis, and they should pay for damages caused. It's based on the common sense and legally sound principle that if you make a mess, you clean it up. Fossil fuel companies have known for decades just how harmful their emissions are, and rather than taking steps to address this, they've taken on the strategies of big tobacco funding misinformation campaigns and delaying action, and it's a price that the rest of us are paying. In the midst of an affordability crisis, California taxpayers are continuing to foot the bill for disaster after disaster as climate change makes these events more frequent and more intense. With federal funding cuts to FEMA, a big bad bill, and what feels like the constant stripping of environmental protections, we need another source of funding to create more resilient communities. Our state and local budgets are stretched thin, and we shouldn't have to decide what services to divert funding from when disasters hit. This bill is the solution. Santa Barbara County's climate change vulnerability assessment clearly outlines what we already know to be true. We're facing the combined threats of coastal erosion and flooding, longer and more frequent droughts, more extreme heat events, increased agricultural pests and diseases wreaking havoc on our agricultural sector, debris flow, and wildfire. Of the 44 infrastructure types evaluated in the assessment, 39 were highly or severely vulnerable for at least one hazard type. This includes major roads and highways, the railroad, evacuation routes, electrical transmission and distribution lines, and water and wastewater infrastructure. From an economic standpoint, our agricultural sector and recreation and tourism sectors that we so heavily rely on are becoming extremely vulnerable due to climate change. We need funding to protect our communities and our coastlines and the resources to plan smart for the long term.
So that brings us to the Polluter Pays Climate Superfund Act. So how does this bill work? So first, it directs Cal EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, to complete a climate cost study to quantify damages to the state through 2045 caused by past fossil fuel emissions. And this is using very new climate attribution science, so that's very exciting. And then second, it would direct Cal EPA to identify responsible parties and then assess compensatory fees on the largest fossil fuel polluters proportional to their emissions from 1990 to 2024. So important to note here that these fees would only be required from companies who have emitted over 1 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions from these two dates here. And also noting that these fees would be around 1% of the company's trillion-dollar profits. They can be paid over time in installments, so it's not a massive financial hardship. And then third, the fees collected will go into a Superfund, which will then go towards critical climate resilience programs. And also important to note that it is estimated that the bill would generate approximately $150 billion over the next 20 years, or $7.5 billion per year. That is additional state funding that we could use towards things such as disaster recovery, home hardening, green job development and creation, resilient schools, first responder and community preparedness, so equipping our frontline and first responders with the resources and tools necessary to be able to effectively respond to these disasters that we know are going to come. Geographic specific measures such as protecting against sea level rise and coastal erosion, resilient schools, and so much more. Also important to note that 40% of this funding must go to projects and programs that are directly benefiting SB 535 disadvantaged communities and those that have faced the most impacts from pollution and climate disasters. So there's a really strong equity component within this bill as well. To paint a full picture of what's going on with this campaign and people who are supporting this bill, it's co-sponsored by the Center for Biological Diversity, California Enviro Voters, and the Campaign for a Safe and Healthy California. On the Senate side of things, the bill author is Senator Menjivar, and then in the Assembly side of things, it is Assembly Member Dawn Addis. This bill has a ton of support from organizations and labor groups across the state. You can see just a few of the over 250 organizations listed here. Additionally is growing support from local elected officials. We've got a support letter that has been signed by 95 local elected officials from 24 different counties across the state. And both the organization's sign-on letter and this elected official sign-on letter is getting more and more support by the day. So that's exciting. And then I think one of the biggest, points that is very telling is that 70% of California voters support this legislation. So 70% of people in our state want to hold polluters accountable and want a break as taxpayers from footing the bill of their disasters. So along the same lines and painting this full picture, wanted to also share what's going on the opposition side of things. So it was expected that we were going to have quite a bit of opposition from the fossil fuel industry. And we've seen this misinformation campaign being played out since the bill was introduced in the legislature in February of this year. So since that first quarter of 2025, Big Oil has spent over $9 million to fight against this Polluters Pay Superfund bill in our state. And most of that spending is coming from Chevron and the Western States Petroleum Association, which is not shocking. And in using this, lobbying and misinformation campaign, they're trying to push this narrative that A, the bill is going to kill jobs, B, it's going to raise prices for consumers and pass costs down, and C, is not constitutional. And I will get into a few quick responses to why those pieces of misinformation are invalid in just a second. But we have a ton of resources, a Mythbuster fact sheet among many of other fact sheets that we are happy to share after this meeting for you to look over. So to briefly respond to this narrative that the fossil fuel lobby has been pushing with millions of dollars behind, that first point of this bill will kill jobs. And I want to preface this by saying the authors and the co-sponsors of this bill, they wrote the bill knowing and anticipating, this lobby from the fossil fuel industry. So the bill was written in a very intentional way to address these points of misinformation. But at the same time, when you have millions of dollars behind your campaign, you're able to do a bit more and spread this information more than people with less money. So yeah. The first point being this bill will kill jobs. There's many reasons why this isn't true, but one of the biggest ones is that this bill is aimed at creating jobs. All of the funding that it is going to, produce is going towards small businesses who are recovering from climate damages, green job development, jobs in building electrification, and EV charging infrastructure, things like that. Also important to note that this bill applies to a very small number of multinational fossil fuel companies, which made enormous profits since 1990, over $2 trillion, all while passing their pollution costs down to Californians. So they can afford to pay a reasonable fee without affecting industry jobs. And if they do want to claim it's affecting industry jobs, then they probably don't have a very sustainable business model. The second point is that this bill will raise prices for consumers. A big point here is that a business can't legally raise their prices to pay for a Superfund fee because it's a non-operational cost. So oil and gas companies, they can raise their fees if it's for an operational cost, maybe fixing some infrastructure at a refinery, but they can't raise their fees or their prices for a Superfund fee like this because it's non-operational. Also, the CEC prevents price gouging by refineries. So on a more kind of local level, we're not going to see refineries or gas stations raising their prices because the California Energy Commission prohibits that. And then also, individual fossil fuel companies, they can't set the price of oil. The price of oil is set by the global market. So that is an invalid an argument that fossil fuel companies will raise the price of oil because that's just not possible. And even if they tried to, they would have to compete with unbranded gas companies like Costco or Rotten Robbie, things like that. And then the third point is that this bill is unconstitutional. Well, the bill has precedent. It's already very similar bills have been passed in New York and Vermont, as well as they're being introduced in at least 9 other states across the country. At the same time, the Polluter Pays Superfund Act is not a taking or a tax, and courts have repeatedly upheld that environmental laws and regulations that impose financial costs on polluters for environmental harm is constitutional. And then lastly, the bill is modeled on other successful Superfund acts, such as the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Act. So again, there's precedent for this. We've seen it work. So the argument that it's unconstitutional is somewhat invalid. And with that, I will pass it back to Lauren.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. Now that we've set the scene a little bit here, I'll spend a little bit of time walking us through the statewide campaign strategy for getting this bill passed, and then we can talk specifics here on the Central Coast. So as for the timeline, this bill has become a 2-year bill, and it will be heard in committees in January of next year. The bill must leave its House of Origin by the end of January, so once the new year hits, things are going to move very, very quickly. Because of this, the summer and fall months are going to be crucial in this campaign. Ultimately, we need to keep growing support and putting pressure on elected officials to pass this bill once it reaches a floor vote. The primary strategy this summer is to pass city and county resolutions in support of this bill. This is a massively important tactic in demonstrating support within state legislators' districts. The fall will be primarily focused on outreach to state assembly members and senators, setting up lobby meetings and office rallies, and flooding their inboxes. The most beneficial action item community members and organizations can take right now is building support with local elected officials at the city and at the county level. As Brooke had mentioned, there are 95 elected officials across 24 counties that have signed on in support, and we want to continue to grow this number. For those who have already shown support of this bill, we want to encourage them to champion a resolution in their city or their county. San Francisco County has passed a resolution in support, as well as the cities of San Diego, LA, Berkeley, and Albany. And Santa Cruz County and Port Hueneme have submitted official letters of support. Here in Santa Barbara, County Supervisors Hartman, Capps, and Lee have all signed on in support, as well as Santa Barbara Council Member Oscar Gutierrez. Now is just really the time to build Central Coast grassroots support for this common sense bill. And here's how to connect with us and get involved. So for those of you in Santa Barbara County, which is most of you here, you are welcome to stop by our booth at the downtown Santa Barbara Farmers Market tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. if you're in the area. We're going to be doing a photo petition where you can encourage elected officials to show their support. And we're also going to have a visioning board where you can write down how you would like to see these Climate Superfund funds being utilized in our communities. So it's a great way to take action if you're going to be around. And then otherwise, our next community meeting is July 30th at 6 p.m. at the Community Environmental Council Hub. I also have an interest form that I can share with anyone who's interested in being added to our email list and getting more involved, or you're more than welcome to just email me directly.
Yeah, and then for anyone who's located in Ventura County or knows anyone in Ventura County and would like to share this information with them, we've got a really awesome group of a bunch of activists who've come together to focus on this campaign. We call ourselves the Ventura County Climate Alliance. We meet every other Thursday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom, and our next meeting is on July 31st. So I also have an interest form that I can share after this, or you can shoot me an email directly. But that is the best way to get involved with making polluters pay and building the support on the Central Coast. So yeah, opening it up to any questions. And I apologize, I cannot see anything, so let me change this. Okay.
And you too can also feel free to respond to some of the comments made in the chat as well, if you see them.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing screen, actually, if that's okay. So
Are we allowed to ask questions in real time or just in the chat?
Yeah, feel free to ask questions in real time.
Okay. So we have a couple of city council members on, I think just from Santa Barbara, but do you have a template resolution for them and for people like me to take to Goleta, Carpinteria, other places that could jump on board and are very likely to do so?
Yeah, absolutely. There's template resolutions that exist, and then we also have copies of the resolutions that have already been passed in different cities and at the county level as well. So those are absolutely resources that we can follow up with.
And how do we get access to the template?
I can share that with everyone here.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah.
And this is Kristen Snedden. I was just wondering, how do I sign on?
Oh, great question. There is an official sign-on letter that I will drop in the chat right now. And I saw your comment in the chat as well. I would love to follow up with you and we can discuss resolutions.
Okay, and thank you, Oscar, for signing on first. Way to go. Mhm.
Okay, and I thought I saw a question from Janet. Janet, did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I did. Since most of the oil or all of the on-land oil production takes place in northern Santa Barbara County, here in Lompoc and Santa Maria, it would be lovely to have you up here.
Yeah, I think a lot of the outreach we've done at this point has been more in South County, so I'm very open to any opportunities that we can get to have these conversations in North County and bring more people on board. So
Contact me directly and we'll set something up.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I did reach out to every city council member in Lompoc, Buellton, Santa Maria. Just seems like no one had a chance to hop on today, but if anyone expresses interest in viewing the recording, I'll send it their way as well.
Yeah, Sarah. I think you're muted.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm Sarah MacDonald, and I serve on the Santa Barbara County Regional Climate Collaborative's Equity and Outreach Committee, and also their steering committee. Are you familiar with our work?
I am not.
I'm not either.
Would love to get familiar though.
I will put in the information because we were looking for new memberships, and so if you're not familiar, we're the ones who are from the county and do a lot with the plan, One Climate Plan.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we'd love to get connected.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and does anyone else have any questions? You can just unmute yourself and ask away. If not, we'll move on to the next topic. Okay, so thank you very much, Lauren and Brooke. Lauren and I met at the last Make Polluters Pay meeting, and I just felt like the information was really easy to digest. And with some of these legislative bills, it's just all over the place and it's hard to follow. So I really appreciate the information. I hope that everyone got something out of that presentation.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to introduce Anthony Rodriguez. He's the Operations and Disaster Services Specialist with the Santa Barbara County Food Bank, and he'll be informing us about the impact of fear that ICE has created on our communities. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I apologize that I don't have a presentation, but I can tell you firsthand about the impacts that, Food Bank has been having. And it's not just this food bank, it's everywhere. The impact is real. You go to food distribution that you usually have normally a very long line, and it's cut in half or even more. And you see that it's a very difficult thing to swallow. I mean, at least for myself, to see that the fear is extremely real, and people are scared. So what Food Bank is doing is we're working with other organizations to try to get food to our community members. We're not stopping our food distributions. The only reasons why is because if people want to make that decision to go, we want them to be able to go and have that food. But we are trying our best to work with other organizations to be able to get the food to the community. Because I mean, that's what we do. That's what we're here for, is to be able to provide, good, healthy, nutritious food to our community members. And we can't do that without the support of all our wonderful volunteers. Is there people that are nervous about it? Absolutely. But we're trying to make sure that we complete our mission, and that's getting food out. The food bank does need support on having drivers, volunteers. If you can't do it that way, I mean, anything that can help is going to be a good help. We did take another hit from federal. They took away a lot of the money that was for the food banks, and then a lot of programs that were taken away. That is another huge blow to all the food banks. And we're not the only ones feeling it. But, we do live in a great community. And when somebody donates something that they don't need, it does go to our families. And anything that goes to the food bank goes directly to our community. It doesn't go further than that. It stays in our community. And so it's really helpful when we do have that support. But yeah, no, the impact, we're getting hit pretty hard. People are scared to go to these distributions. And so my job is to try to make it as safe as possible. And that's what we're doing. We're doing what we can. And so any support that anybody can give us, any ideas, we're open for it, but we are working with organizations and getting food out. So it's not that FoodBank is not doing anything. We're actually working really hard to make it easier for our community members to get that food. Yeah. Had ICE arrest in our distributions? No, there has not. I know that there was a rumor that we had gotten raided. That is not true. We did not get raided. Did a volunteer get have a discussion with ICE? Yes, it was National Guard. That was on July 10th at the Carpinteria location where Salud Carbajal was there as well. One of our drivers was delivering food to one of our members in our community, and they got stuck right in between the vehicles, and so he didn't know what to do. But obviously, he was mistreated, and his keys were thrown. They got his keys out of his car, threw him in the bushes, and he couldn't find his keys. And the way that he was treated, nobody deserves to be treated the way that everybody's being treated. Nobody does. I don't care who you are. But yes, that did happen. It is on film. I found out, but no, personally, none of our distributions have been raided. On the distributions, I've been going early in the morning, driving around, making sure it's safe before anybody comes. So we're taking extra steps as much as we could without putting anyone in danger, without putting our volunteers and our staff and especially our community members in danger. That's my priority, is to keep everybody safe. And so I've been going out of my own personal time to go extra early to some of these distributions and making sure it's a safe place for everyone to go, because we don't want to lose that community's trust. So I can't really see the chat. I don't know if there's any more questions. So you can help me out with that.
Yeah, so Janet actually has a question. We'll go to her first.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Anthony.
No, thank you.
I'm wondering if you've ever thought of getting in touch with Indivisible or 805 on DocuFund for people to come help at giveaway sites?
Yeah, actually, and I've been attending actually all the meetings. Last night I was at the last meeting with Primitiva last night, and we brought it up again to let people know that FoodBank is here to support. And so I got a lot of connections last night. But yes, no, we're working with the organizations the best way we can. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
No, thank you.
And Anthony, I put
Yes.
something in the chat, but you can't see it. It's Lee.
No.
Good to talk to you. I was a student of his a couple of years ago. He's an amazing teacher. And I said something about, Casa de la Raza has ramped up this food pantry and is doing deliveries to get around the fact that people are afraid to come to collection points. So I don't, the food bank, I mean, it's labor intensive for sure. And I remember during COVID doing some of that as well. And I didn't know if Food Bank was looking at that or recruiting additional volunteers, as Janet suggests.
Yeah.
To do home deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, definitely volunteers makes it so much easier for all of us in general. But yeah, we are working with the organizations to be able to get food to them so they can get it to the community. No matter how we can get food out, we want to make sure everybody has food and that doesn't go hungry, especially all our kids right now. They're home. They need that food. And so, any way anybody can give us an idea or anybody we can work with, we're always open to doing whatever we can for our community. So, but yes, we are reaching out.
Lompoc Unified School District is feeding all of our kids lunch, free breakfast and lunch all summer.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
And then Anthony, we also have another question in the chat.
Sure.
Any idea how many people get food from this food bank in 2024? And what is the number of people using the facility on a regular basis?
Well, we have distributions throughout the county. We work with over 300 different agencies. And, we've added several agencies due to this issue that we're going through right now. I don't have exact numbers, so I don't want to say numbers because I want to make sure everybody gets the accurate information. But I'm happy to share it with you, that you can share it out once I get that information with you. Happy to do that. But the reason why I know that there has been a decrease is that I've been going to these food distributions because safety is my responsibility, and I see the difference. It's a huge difference. I mean, Saturday at Franklin, we're done in an hour, and usually we have a very long line, and it wasn't long at all. And and I'm pretty sure that many of our volunteers can see that as well. But we're doing what we can, and we're trying to do more. We're just trying to collaborate with the organizations that have the in with certain communities, because that's what you have to do. You have to be able to meet people where they're at, to be able to support them and for them to trust you. And that's what we're doing, the best that we can. And volunteers is really big deal. I mean, I highly suggest, if you have somebody that wants to volunteer, go on to our website, and we have a lot of volunteer opportunities on our website. If you don't see one, please email us and let us know that you're willing to, participate or be a driver, whatever you would like to do, because it does go a long way. It absolutely does. So I highly encourage that.
Yeah, that's great. I think that probably answers Santa Barbara Council Member Snedden's questions then. But if you could send me a little blurb to include in our action alerts to get folks to volunteer to sign up, that would be great. If it's really easy to find online, I can do it as well. But thank you for the presentation, Anthony, or for your time. Does anybody else have any questions for Anthony?
And always feel free to reach out to me or anybody at the food bank. I'm always open to any thoughts, ideas, suggestions, especially when it comes to the safety of our community. That's the most important thing for me, is to making sure that we have them safe and also be able to provide that service. So we're here to support our community. So just please reach out if you feel that you have something that might work. Then please let us know. We're always open.
Okay, and Mary, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, God, the work he does is like crazy amazing. One service that we do have available, because my focus is the East Side and seniors, taking care of our seniors. So Unity will deliver groceries to seniors. So that is so helpful. Maybe we can help expand that program. I don't know if they need help, but seniors right now are scared. They're the grandparents. So they're scared for the kids, they're scared for their neighbors, they're scared for their families. So when you have a service like that, it's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking to see, to be honest with you. And I'm not gonna lie, when I actually saw it in the front of my face what was happening, it literally took me back without a doubt. I mean, I don't think I've been the same ever since I actually physically seen it myself, what was happening. And to know that families are being torn apart, it kills me, because nobody deserves to feel this way. I mean, for the first time in my life, I had to stand outside at a funeral to make sure that nothing happened during the funeral. I wasn't even inside during a funeral. And that shouldn't happen. We're all human beings, and we all, we're a big community. We're a strong community. And this is where the time that we need to come together and work together to support each other as a whole, as a one. And so I thank you very much for allowing me to be here with you guys and to share what's going on. And I hope that you guys know that we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure we're doing the right thing. And any support we can get from any of you is so grateful, because we can't do it. We can't do this alone. And so I do appreciate it.
Thank you. And Pam, go ahead.
Hi, a question for Mary. You mentioned food deliveries. What area are you doing those to senior, or Unity is?
All you have to do is call Unity and arrange the service. Usually they reach out, I think, to Housing Authority
people that live there, but if you call Unity, I'm told that they will come. They'll go on the list and they will come with. And what's also helpful, because I do work with seniors, is they also make a special effort to package appropriate food. It's easy, you know, in many ways. So that's another thing that's great about having that happen. But I do live across the street from Franklin School, and like Anthony says, the numbers aren't there. They're scared. They're scared. East Side is going through a horrific period right now. Food insecurity. We have businesses on Milpas that are suffering. We've got, well, we even started school. What are we going to do about the kids? Make them feel. I live across from Adelante in Franklin, and I almost want to make a sanctuary at my house because I am scared what the kids are going to feel when they have to go to school.
And imagine how I feel for fiestas. I'm in charge
Yeah,
of
and I'm kind of like, I don't know about fiestas. Anthony, we got to talk about that because I am scared. I am scared about fiestas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the East Side is really going through a lot. Is it all communities, but it's hitting hard. Nobody's going to church. They don't feel safe, so the church is doing Zoom, which is wonderful, right, Anthony?
Yes, we're doing Zoom. And
yeah, but you're because I know Anthony works at the church, and I just can't even imagine that you can't even go to your church. So
But Mary, just to clarify, so it's south, so it's Santa Barbara area for Unity. Do they reach into North County?
all over.
They do.
They extend through all of Santa Barbara, from what I know.
Okay. Okay. And it's Unity is the name?
Unity Shop. Yeah.
Shop. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, they
now I
do it.
know.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry. I dropped
no,
it
that's
wrong.
fine. I have been to the Unity shop in Lompoc, actually.
Yeah, and we have a great one here in Santa Barbara, and they're very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also just thank you, Anthony, and I just wanted to acknowledge I was on the 805 Immigrant Coalition meeting this morning, and
oh yes,
just want to acknowledge all the work that's being done. And Mary, they are thinking about how to protect schools and school children. But I just wanted to say a big thank you out to the universe. And you can hear in Anthony's voice for just one person, the trauma, it just ripples. And my heart goes out, but I appreciate you, Anthony, and everyone else who just keeps doing it, as everybody on this call does as well. So thank you.
No, thank you. And also, just so you know, FoodBank does do home deliveries for seniors as well. So you can register through the FoodBank. And we have it North County and South County.
Great. Thank you.
Great. And yeah, special shout out to Mary who did connect me with Anthony, and Yolanda Perez, who's a volunteer at the Santa Barbara County Food Bank. So we really appreciate you. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to our next speakers now, who are our representatives of the Isla Vista Food Cooperative. And this one hits close to home because I took a lot of advantage of that co-op when I was at UCSB, didn't have a car for a while, got my steps in every day by going grocery shopping. So yeah, let's just hear an update from the representatives, which are Lisa, Marcelino, and Megan. And please introduce yourselves as well.
Hi, everyone. We'll just go in alphabetical order so it's easy to know who goes next. Myself and my two colleagues from the board are here today. My name is Lisa Oglesby. I serve on the co-op's board of directors. I am currently also serving to help with operations. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan. I'm also on the board of directors, and I serve as the Owner Engagement Committee chair. But yeah, excited to be here. I'll pass it to Marcelino.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here with you all. I'm the secretary of the board and a longtime food shopper, co-op food shopper as well. Check.
I guess we'll continue to the next slide. Ooh. Everyone can see my screen, right?
Yeah. we're going to pass it between each other a little bit. So we wanted to start with a little bit of history about the food co-op and how we moved from a buying club to a countywide cooperative movement. The Isla Vista Food Co-op was born in the early 1970s, a time of social upheaval, grassroots organizing, and student activism. And what started as a small community-led food distribution network became one of California's longest-standing cooperative grocery stores. Before there was a storefront, like you see in this picture, there was the Whole Wheat Buying Club, a grassroots effort by Isla Vista residents seeking affordable, healthy food outside the corporate grocery system. And when it outgrew the capacity of the buying club, a storefront was opened, and there we are, back in the good old days, that is 1973.
And from the start, the IV Food Co-op has been much more than just a grocery store. It's really been a movement, a living, breathing example of what community ownership looks like in practice. And over the years, we've held true to our cooperative values of democratic member control, member ownership, and a commitment to healthy food and cultural expression. And through decades of change, from economic crises, going through the pandemic, neighborhood gentrification, we've adapted, but we've never lost sight of our mission. And you can see our values in every aspect of our store, from the local produce on the shelves to the live music that we host on our patio, and also that we play local radio stations such as KCSB. Our co-op is more than just a business. It really is a cultural institution. It's a place where grassroots creativity and community leadership come together and thrives.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not know how the cooperative works, we are a consumer co-op model, which is we're not non-profit, but we are low profit. So the cooperative, it's kind of like a circle, as exposed by the graphic here. So basically, any money spent with us goes basically around and back into the community, back into us, back into the community, back into us. The big circle, and we're all charged with continuing its democratic values. But essentially, we're run in accordance with the 8 cooperative principles. As Marcelino said, voluntary open membership, democratic member control, member economic participation, autonomy, independence, education, training, and information, cooperation among cooperatives, like Marcelino's Santa Barbara Student Housing Cooperative, as an example, concern for community, and also diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And as we look at where we're at right now, we're going to be honest with everybody about our current challenges. The co-op, as mentioned, is by nature a low profit institution. Our money does get reinvested back into the organization itself and back into our community. And for those reasons, we've never had large fiscal reserves, which leaves us vulnerable to external factors that impact our ability to bring in income. Shifts in shopping behavior during and after COVID, the high turnover rate of the student shopper base, and also some demographic changes in our local ownership, rising costs due to inflation and ongoing supply chain disruptions, and increased competition from large corporations offering sometimes more convenient access to those same organic and natural foods. In February of this year, the board stepped up to meet these challenges. We are actively strengthening both our governance and our operations. We are building more resilient internal systems to move the co-op from fragility and into long-term sustainability. However, our greatest challenge remains a deep financial crisis that threatens our future.
So in 2023, sales began to decline in our Isla Vista location. And in 2024, the board explored a second location at the old Cantwell's downtown as an effort to help bring in more cash flow and diversify revenue. And the store opened downtown in 2025, but the store has not performed as we anticipated, and we have faced higher than expected costs and lower than expected revenue. And this has led to significant losses downtown as well. And today we face this financial crisis, but we're also creating a clear strategy for recovery, and we are asking for community support to implement it. Check.
Yeah, so just an overview of how our governance works. So currently we have a board of 7, all featured here. Lisa Marcellino and I, along with some of our other board members, Neil, Bill, Tyler, and Eric. So yeah, we are voted in by the membership on biannual, basically like we have 4 positions up for election 1 year, then 3 positions up the next year. So we always try to rotate out leadership when we can, and make sure that the members and owners like always have a voice within our governance.
As mentioned, the board took over management since February of 2025 to make sure that our organization was in tune with what we needed to be done. And we've made a lot of progress. And so we've listed here some of our key accomplishments just to help people understand what the work is that we are focusing in on and how focused we are on recovery. We've had some very significant support through through both donations and from tax credits that we've received. Our organization is not a nonprofit. However, we have a fiscal sponsor from the Isla Vista Community Development Corporation. And so we can take charitable contributions that are tax deductible. And that has really made us more visible and more applicable for folks in our local area who want to do donations and have that charitable giving option for them. So in terms of financial stabilization, in addition to money that we've received, we've also developed new financial tools, reporting systems, and recovery models. We drafted a business plan, including a root cause analysis and a path to solvency. We've been making a lot of organizational improvements. We improved staffing and training, communication protocols. We really elevated staff morale and satisfaction, and we've expanded the selection of local products from both local vendors and local farmers at both of our stores. We've made some big efforts in community and member engagement and communication. We now have a weekly owner bulletin. Some of you might be co-op owners and might be receiving it. We built and launched a new co-op website, and we are expanding our local partnerships and our invisibility. And for those of you who maybe have been to the store downtown, you might have seen that we rolled out an updated deli menu, and we've implemented other frontline improvements for store operations and systems.
And so why this matters to our countywide food justice system is because the co-op is the only independent community-owned grocery store in our region. And we are a working model of grassroots economic democracy. We provide support to local farms, we provide fair labor, and we source our products with the principles of justice in mind. Our work connects with broader movements for food sovereignty, environmental sustainability, grassroots activism, and cooperative economics. So this is not just a retail operation. It really is a community institution built on over 50 years of mutual aid, and we aim to save it. Check.
So what's at stake, what's possible in recovery. Essentially, our aim for the next, however long it takes, is to stabilize our finances and be able to ideally keep both storefronts alive in order to serve our broader community and continue the widening of the cooperative circle. But also, in doing that, we also need to strengthen our cooperative model for future generations because, every system of governance, there's always things that can be improved. And so we're hard at work trying to resolve the little plots that have holes. And then ultimately, once we do this, we want to rebuild as a hub for local food, education, and community empowerment in order to serve everyone we come into contact with.
And
go ahead, Marcelina, you want to present
Marcelino.
this?
So, as a longtime member and the current board secretary, I've seen the co-op survive many storms. When I was a student at UCSB, I worked at the food co-op as a cashier, a floor manager, department manager, and now I'm back serving as the secretary of the board. And what keeps us going as an organization is community involvement, community commitment, and a shared belief in what we stand for: sustainability, equity, self-determination, and community. And with the strength of our new business plan that we're developing and calling in collective effort, I believe we can emerge stronger than ever. So I've doubled down on my commitment, and I invite you to do the same. Check.
Back to you, Lisa.
Yeah. And for those of you who are interested in how you might be able to help, we've got some pretty basic stuff, and we are here to help us help you, or help you help us. First of all, the most supportive thing that folks can do is shop and share. We have 2 stores, one in Isla Vista and one downtown Santa Barbara at State and Arriaga. If you visit our stores and help us spread the word, if you follow us on social media, that's very beneficial for us. It always helps us get new community members in the door. You can invest in the co-op by buying gift cards, making a donation, helping us secure bridge funding. You are also invited to partner with us, connect us to schools, farms, community organizations, or also become a co-op owner. Ownership is open to everyone. And to help amplify our voice by sharing our updates on social media. If you want to find out more about the co-op, the best place to go is our website. It is islavistafood.coop. There you'll find information about our mission, our vision, our values, the donation campaigns that we are running, and ongoing updates to our members that we are posting there. And we are so grateful for this moment to be able to connect with folks and to help this community organization stay alive into future generations. Even through what is a very challenging now, we see a very hopeful future. Thank you.
And I'll end the screen share so we can answer questions.
Thank you. Thanks for the information. We have a question from Gail Oshrenko. What help is the Santa Barbara Foundation giving you?
We don't have a direct connection to the Santa Barbara Foundation per se, because we have a different fiscal sponsor, which was mentioned, the Isla Vista Community Development Corporation. But we are able, for people who do their charitable giving through the Santa Barbara Foundation, to route it to our fiscal sponsor. So since Santa Barbara Foundation is so well known, if they can help us spread the word and just make it more visible that this is a campaign that we're running, and if the donation is $5 or $500 or $500,000, all of those things are super helpful. And Megan went ahead and put both our organization's website and the link specifically to the Save the Co-op program and the Isla Vista CDC organization's website in the chat.
Gail, do you have another question?
Gail, you might be muted.
Well,
there we go. Just had trouble unmuting. I just wanted to say, I'm not sure how long you took over from Cantwell's, how long ago, but I had no idea that the co-op was there, right in my neighborhood, in my community. and I will certainly go more often. I have been once, noticed that things were different, and that some things were better and some things weren't. And I just wanted to give you that feedback. I don't know if you've had much media coverage of your opening there, or if it happened when I was in Vermont, as I am now. But I think if people don't know you're there, it's a real problem. And it's good to know that people can donate through the Santa Barbara Foundation. They are a huge foundation. They sit on a huge amount of money. If you need investment at low income, ask them. I'm not saying they'll give it to you, but that's what we did in housing. And now they're actually investing in low income housing, and they could invest in businesses in the community and get you through a really hard time. That's what I wanted to say.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gail. Yeah, so we took over that location January of 2024, but it was a slow transition at first to transform what was a traditional corner store into more of a co-op. And we've gotten some press coverage over that time. You might have missed it because you've been in Vermont, but also as a historical building in downtown Santa Barbara, we can't place a big flashy sign on there. So there are some limitations to what we can do in the public. So really that neighborhood word of mouth is really helpful. So I'm hoping you'll come back again sometime, maybe when you're not in Vermont. Give us another look. We'd love to hear about how we can better serve you and your neighbors. Thank you.
I see Rachel with their hand up. Oh, Rachel, you muted. Sorry.
Sorry. Can you hear me? I unmuted. Yeah. I happened to be in your store yesterday downtown for the first time, and I will admit that I haven't been in the IV store for many, maybe 20 years. But I was really surprised in the downtown store. I went in there because I wanted to buy some bulk grains, and I didn't see any. All that I saw were packaged in plastic, which I am very much against and trying not to purchase. And I was hoping that the food co-op would have, as we used to in the old days, we always sold stuff in bulk. So that's my feedback. And I would like to see, I would like a place to shop other than Lazy Acres where I can buy food in bulk. And I would happily go to the food co-op downtown if I knew I could get it there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have great news for you, Rachel. In about a month, our bulk display will be arriving for downtown. We do still actively do bulk in Isla Vista. The launch of bulk downtown took a little more complication, but that's the timeline that we are considering rolling out. If you want to give me your email, I promise to let you know when it happens, maybe send you a coupon.
That's great. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat.
And if I could just ask, could you give us a little bit more detail on what UCSB might be doing to support the co-op?
So we are currently on their vendor list for catering, as well as we do have a vendor blanket where they can, with UCSB, where they can purchase from us. Employee at UCSB, woo, go. that's where I currently am. But otherwise, it's been a bit difficult to reintegrate ourselves back into UCSB other than through the student community. Many UCSB like large festivals have an entrance fee that we currently can't afford, essentially, if we're going to preserve operations and our job and providing jobs to our communities, our workers, essentially. So we're trying to make inroads as best we can and try to connect more with student groups, as making our patio readily accessible. I've launched a booking link on the website for student groups to make it more accessible for both downtown and the Isla Vista patio. But ultimately, yeah, I do think we can do more from our end to find more partners at UCSB, especially with like all the environmental groups that are in place at UCSB. I don't know, Lisa Marcelino, if you have any additional feedback about our efforts.
Our current most active partnerships with UCSB is correct, more student-based or within food security basic needs. So we support low-cost purchases for the AS Food Bank, for the kosher halal program, for undocumented student services, and for general services for students where they are affected by food insecurity. And we work with other more specific students groups like the Environmental Affairs Board, and other community organizations that are UCSB aligned, but deep UCSB foundational integration within specific departments beyond that is yet to be unlocked.
And I can add, it's really a capacity issue in terms of how limited we are in our energy and how much we can get done as a board and how much there is to do. So it's really about plugging into the right network. So we have connected with a couple of professors who are strong supporters of the co-op and leaning on them to help us get the word out amongst like-minded professors. But similarly, if there are connections to UCSB that you could put us in touch with key players at UCSB who support sustainability, support grassroots activism, food justice, etc., we would appreciate those connections because it's really about building those networks now. Check.
Oh yeah, related to the capacity issue, I don't think we really mentioned explicitly that the board has been managing the store since both stores since February of 2025. So in addition to our day jobs, we are also making it work, especially Lisa, Marcelino, Tyler, and Neil. They're doing a lot. But yeah. With connection, are we working with St. Michael's? Okay, wait, Lisa's answering things in the chat. Ooh, but yes, Kristen, connection to SBCC would help. I've seen their food bank program and I'd really like to get involved if possible.
Yeah, so I'm a professor at City College and involved with the food pantry and other things.
Yeah,
So
just a second.
Oh, sorry.
Go for it, Kristen. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. I just so I'm connected to City College. I'm a professor there, and also the food pantry is very active. And if that's and there's a lot of crossover with environmentalism and all of that. So if there's a way that I can help make those connections for you, please don't hesitate. Yeah.
Yeah, Kristen,
I'll put my City College email in the link here, so that because they're different.
Yeah. That would be excellent to have that that connecting person, because we've been looking to integrate ourselves more deeply into the community of downtown Santa Barbara. Isla Vista, we've been there 5 decades. We know it. But downtown is a little bit trickier, even just block by block. So I will definitely, I'm going to copy this right now and reach out to you after this meeting.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
And just by extension, connections into like-minded organizations downtown that we can build business-to-business partnerships with would be really helpful for the organization as well.
Does anybody have any other questions or feedback?
Thank you very, very much, Lisa, Marcelino, and Megan. We appreciate you. I'm actually right down the street from the downtown location, so I'll be paying you guys a visit more frequently. I'm definitely willing to support however I can. So we appreciate you. Thank you for the information. And our next speakers are Whitney Abbott and John Tilton, who are board members with the Citizens for Carpinteria Bluffs. So please provide us with some information on what's going on.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak
about the carpentry of Bluffs at this SBCAN roundtable. It's a topic that is near and dear to us. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see it? Good.
Yes.
I am Whitney Abbott, and John Tilton and I have been members of the Citizens for the Carpentry of Bluffs Board for many years. We'd like to share a little bit about the history of the Bluffs, specifically the property known as the Tea Time Driving Range at 5885 Carpentria Avenue, and the developments proposed for this property now and what we can do about it. Our president, Patrick Crooks, helped put together this slideshow, and so together we're going to do our best to tell the story. And I don't know if you can hear my dog who's sitting with me right now, but she's making some noises, if you're wondering. Carpentria has a long history of discouraging development proposals the community doesn't feel are appropriate for our small town. A marina planned to replace the salt marsh was rejected decades ago. Oh, there we go. And an oil refinery proposed for the Carpentry Bluffs was thwarted in 1968 after community members expressed opposition. The Carpentry Valley Association was formed that same year, an organization of Carpentrians dedicated to smart city planning and preservation. And in 1980, the local coastal plan articulated that the best use of the Carpentry Bluffs was open space and recreation. When a massive development proposal for the Bluffs was put before the city council in the mid-90s, one that included hotels, a strip mall, gas stations, as well as houses, the community fought back, and we formed a 501c3 in 1996, the Citizens for the Carpentry Bluffs, and launched a fundraising campaign to purchase the property. Kids collected pennies, local businesses pitched in, and with the help of the Land Trust for Santa Barbara County, we were able to purchase the 52 acres for $4.5 million by the year 2000. Today, this land is known as the Carpentry Bluffs Nature Preserve and Viola Fields, and this slide here shows the fields on the right in green, the ocean to the south, the network of trails. Patrick noted that habitat on the bluffs includes the white-tailed kite, monarch butterflies, burrowing owls, and biological and cultural resources such as the Chumashapshno Meadow. Since then, there have been a number of properties along the bluffs our community has come together to protect, often in partnership with the Land Trust, with easements that allow the city of Carpentria to steward the open space. And those would include this. Sorry, this is a little bit fuzzy, but it's a really good map. The farmer parcel was protected in 2009. That is the little orange spot. The Rincon Bluffs in 2016 is green. The Rincon Gateway, most recently in 2025, is noted in blue, and that's a beautiful bluff top. Now, the Tea Time property seen here in red lies adjacent to the nature preserve and is currently under tremendous threat of development. There have been numerous proposals for this site that have been brought before the city by developers in 2004, 2015, and then in 2024. All were successfully discouraged by our vocal community. I want to clarify, we are not opposed to housing in Carpentria, but we feel that this is just really not the right location for these development projects. In 2024, the Farmhouse Resort project was proposed and included a hotel, limited housing, and a farm, interestingly, above an underground parking lot. Hundreds of folks showed up at City Hall for the project's Architectural Review Board meeting. And this was only the Architectural Review Board meeting. expressing opposition. There was not enough room inside City Hall, so people gathered outside. While that project has quieted down, another plan has been brought to the city more recently, and John Tilton is going to tell you more about this latest application.
Thank you very much, Whitney, and to everybody for your presentations. It's heartening to see people engaged in trying to make our local area and our world a better place. And I love this photo of the crowd at this Bluffs hearing. I was one of the people standing outside that night because there wasn't sufficient room inside in the council chambers. And you can see there's a lot of people out there. There were a few hundred. What you also can't see in the photo is just how cold it was that night in January. You can see some people kind of bundled up, but it was very cold. What you also can't see is that many people had to walk several blocks to get there just to stand outside in the cold. There was no parking nearby, or the nearby parking was all full. And we stood out there for a few hours. So this photograph really makes the point. And as Whitney said, this was just an architectural review board advisory meeting. This wasn't even to approve or deny the project. This was just an advisory committee. But you can see it's a very dedicated group of people in Carpinteria that support preserving the Bluffs as open space. And Whitney, if you could back up to the aerial photo, please. Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to talk mostly, as Whitney said, about the area that's highlighted in red, the Tea Time property that's adjacent to the Bluffs Nature Preserves. But I also want to put a little footnote here that on the other side of the nature preserves, just to the right of the area that's in yellow, just last week, another proposal for a housing development surfaced of a similar size, a little less than 200 units. And that space is currently occupied partly by S&S Seeds and partly by a vacant lot. The city submitted a request, or the owner submitted a request to City Council last week to try to fast track the proposal to get to the approval denial stage. The City Council decided not to fast track the proposal, but that project may still proceed through normal channels. So you people should be aware that there's two very similar projects at either end of the Bluffs Preserve. So you may be hearing news about both of them. And just in case you might confuse the two, you should just be aware that there are actually two proposals there now. And if
Wrong way, sorry.
one more, perfect, thank you. So a lot of amazing things start happening in Carpinteria when you send up the Save the Bluffs rally cry, and it looks like that will be happening again very soon. There is a nearly 200 unit housing development application submitted to the city. Our group has as part of our mission to preserve the property as open space. And it's also worth noting, actually, for both the projects that have been proposed here, that neither one of these projects was a part of the city's recently approved housing plan that is RENA compliant. It did not include either of these projects. The current owners of the property had proposed a resort hotel, as Whitney went over. They did not go very far in the process before deciding not to keep going further with it. But in their place now, and they still own the property, but in their place, a company called Sortis Capital out of Portland, who was actually the lender on the resort project, not the developer, but the lender. They are the new applicant for the housing project, or an iteration of Sortis in combination with Lennar Homes, which is one of the largest home building companies in the US. They have not yet filed. The actual applicant is called Central Coast CA Ventures. They have not yet filed their public statement of information, so we don't know exactly what the iteration here is, but we've seen enough documents. They're generally signed by Paul Brennecke of Sortis Capital. We've seen enough documents that it's going to be some iteration of those two entities that are trying to develop the property with the new proposal. And you can see a draft of the project in this slide, and you can see almost all of the 20 acres is going to be paved over with parking lots and residences. And our group has been trying to contact the property owners and developers for over a year now to discuss a potential sale of the property. They have not ever responded to our attempts to contact them about that. Supervisor Roy Lee has been very supportive of our efforts. He's been trying to contact them. They have not responded to him either. So it seems clear that they are not interested in engaging with the local community about the community's wishes. Whitney, next slide, please. This level of development is incompatible with the Carpinteria general plan and not in keeping with the character of the area that the community has been supporting. It would also threaten the nearby harbor seal rookery, excuse me, which has already been seeing declining populations. Next slide, please. And you can see here that instead of the current panoramic views from Carpinteria Avenue looking out to the islands, which are stressed in the city's general plan as being important to maintain, instead you would see parking lots and residences. Next slide. In addition to the visual impacts and impacts to species, which face declining populations and are either protected species or candidates for endangered species lists, the project would potentially disturb important Chumash cultural resources as well. Next slide, please. So where does the project stand now? The developer submitted a preliminary application to the city in late December 2024 and a full application in late June, just last month. The timing of those submissions appears designed to make the project eligible for builder's remedy. And if you're not familiar with builder's remedy, it's very complicated. I won't try to explain it here, but basically it potentially removes local authority over approval of the project. Both of those applications were deemed incomplete by the city. The ball at the moment is back in the developer's court to complete the application. We do anticipate that they will do that and that the project will then proceed into review once there's a completed application. Next slide, please. It's our understanding that there's an open question about whether the project qualifies for builder's remedy, given that the applications were deemed incomplete. So we do not know yet exactly what the review process will be, who will be involved, and what the timeline is. It's an emerging situation. We should have more information in the near future, and we will certainly be making the public aware when we have more information. Next slide, please, Whitney. Thank you. And if any of you have been to the Carpinteria Bluffs, I'm sure you have experienced what a wonderful spot it is. If you've never been there, I certainly encourage you to go. It's really a wonderful spot that the community heavily values, appreciates, and uses a lot. And it has a wonderful atmosphere. Thank you all very much again for listening and the opportunity to give this update. And we wish the best to all of us. You can see on this slide our website and our email address. Feel free to contact us at any time. You can also, if you go to our website, you can sign up to get on our email list for updates as we send them out. And with that, we can open it up for questions.
I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody.
Let's see. I see a question from Megan Ashley about whether they have private equity backing. I've been doing a lot of, so the hotel, we had some visibility into the financing when that was the primary project there. And yes, it was private equity backing. The new iteration, I mean, Sortis Capital, who seems to be spearheading the entire project, that's what they are. They're a private equity firm. So we do expect that it will be private equity backing. I mean, when they partner with Lennar Homes, which is what it looks like they're doing. Lennar Homes, I imagine, I haven't looked into their finances, but I imagine they carry a lot of financing with them. So between the two, Sortis and Lennar Homes, that would look to be where their financing will be coming from. Although the people that were spearheading the hotel proposal are still actually holding title to the property.
Okay, and Lisa, you have a question?
Yes, hi there. Thanks for the great presentation. I'm not sure if you know, but are there, or if it's super directly related, but are there other construction projects that might be further along in Carpinteria of that scale? I thought I heard there was something maybe potentially going to happen around Baylord, which isn't too far from the Bluffs area, or but maybe behind the Kim's Market.
Yeah, I live very close to the Baylord area and the Bluffs. There is a proposal for a project off of Baylord on the other side of the freeway. I don't honestly know exactly where that stands in the approval. The one that I'm thinking of is actually on county property and not on city property. And to my knowledge, it has not yet been fully approved. But so, I mean, there's definitely not construction happening there yet. I can say that for sure. And I believe it has not yet been fully approved, but it's definitely in the works. And other sites in Carpinteria as well. I mean, Carpinteria had to develop a housing plan to comply with state requirements, and a certain number, I believe it was 900 units of housing need to be added. And so the city has a plan to add that many units, and it does not include either of the projects at the Bluffs.
I can speak a little something to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, the county ignored their planning commission's recommendation that the Red Tail project not be included in this new housing element of the county. The county is just feverish about building houses, and they're proposing this project that's not in our downtown, and it would change our urban-rural boundary. So it has a lot of opposition from Carpinteria, but the county seems to be determined just to run roughshod over us on this. And ironically, many of us were involved in the Carpinteria Valley Association before we had the opportunity to buy the Bluffs. And the county used to be the protector of our rural ag lands, and now it's switched places, and it's allowing these big mega mansions to go in, and it's really pushing housing. So it's a different world than when 30 years ago.
And I just wanted to add too, there's some discussion about potentially rezoning Bluffs property, because as it stands right now, they are zoned for commercial residential use, but then that's a complicated issue that involves permission from the existing landowners so that they can be compensated for the potential value of their land. You know, it would be nice to just put it to a vote of the people, or to allow city council and the general plan to make these decisions, but it's complicated. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And then I would just add that if folks want to be kept up to date with information as hearings come about, as information unfolds, please do sign up on our website. And we've gotten very good at reaching out to our community.
Yeah, and I think we just ask you to keep us in the loop. I think we're all signed up through your website to get some alerts if anything comes up, but just keep SBCAN in mind if we can help support or just promote some information about any development that's being proposed to be built on the Bluffs. I think that's definitely an interest to a lot of our members. And I also just wanted to suggest that you reach out to Gail Marshall. She's got a lot of connections in Carpinteria. She lives there specifically, and she's with the Gray Panthers Santa Barbara network as well. They might be able to help out.
We're in touch with Gail. I'm personally in touch with Gail on a weekly basis, so she's definitely in the loop. But that's a great suggestion.
Great, great.
I'm on the board of the citizens group as well, so that's.
We're all interconnected. Well, thank you all, and that was perfect timing. I really appreciate all of the wealth of information that all of our speakers brought today. And we might all be here for different reasons, but clearly we all care about the community, and we should all stay in touch with each other and see how we can support and uplift one another. So really, really appreciate it. Keep SBCAN in mind. If you have any organizational updates, you have calls to action, send them our way and we'll distribute them out if we can. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.